Well, good Monday afternoon, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Don't forget tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll be doing our live stream. We had a great live stream yesterday with the members call-in show. I might need to start doing that a little bit more here. Maybe we'll do that during the week as well, because it's great getting everybody's perspective of what's going on or how they're feeling. Just, getting the pulse of everybody. We have, of course, today the Cowboys have a day off, and maybe this would be a great day to get Micah Parsons signed, Jerry. We still are sitting at the standoff, of course, with Micah Parsons, and if you listen to ESPN, and it's getting more and more apparent that really ESPN isn't really about reporting what's actually going on anymore. What you're really getting more of is really opinion pieces. You got Dan Orlovsky, who today is going through and he's saying that he believes there's really bad blood between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons and things. I don't buy into that. First of all, how does Dan Orlovsky? Is Dan Orlovsky, close friends with Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones? Or is this just his opinion? Because I think it's his opinion. Because as long as Dak Prescott has been there with the Cowboys, I don't ever remember a time that Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones were together for national championship games or 4-hour meetings and things like that. Those things just didn't happen. And you can look and say, even through this turmoil, to have a 4-hour meeting with him on Wednesday night is probably longer than any meeting that he's ever had with Dak Prescott. Now, again, I don't know for sure. Because I am not tight with Micah, Dak, and Jerry on all the goings ahead. But from the outside looking in, that's what I observe. And listening to Adam Schefter, of course, who says there's nothing going on, there's nothing in the sights and everything else, nothing that he's seeing. But they had a meeting for 4 hours, and Micah Parsons didn't go the other direction and basically say, I'm not showing up for practice, I'm not wearing Cowboys gear or anything like that. So clearly something has calmed the waters a little bit where Jerry Jones isn't talking and so on. But that's not what this video was actually supposed to be about. There are actually what I really wanted to talk about is there's some rumors, okay? Look at all these rumors. Okay, rumors that the Cowboys might be looking to trade Jalen Tolbert, which would make sense because right now, with Trayshawn Holden having the game that he is, and basically Brian Schottenheimer confirming that he's going to be moving up the depth chart and things, you really have a logjam right now at wide receiver. I mean, this is the polar opposite of what we had last year, okay? Last year, this time, Jalen Tolbert was basically getting the number one reps at training camp because CeeDee Lamb was holding out. Brandon Cooks had a knee infection and wasn't there. Jalen Tolbert was your number one guy. The fact that we are sitting here talking about possibly using Jalen Tolbert as a trade chip is crazy. Now, typically, the Cowboys don't look to trade their guys. You got, Stephen Jones, a.k.a. Catboy, who always says, we believe in our guys. Well, Jalen Tolbert's a guy they drafted. Jalen Tolbert is a good number 3 wide receiver. The thing for the Cowboys is they've had to ask him to do more than what a number 3 wide receiver would do. But he is solid. He had actually a really good season last year. But you look at it and say, well, after this year, we're going to have to pay him, right? You think about Cedric Wilson a few years back, who you could probably say their careers to this point are pretty similar as far as what Jalen Tolbert did last year, as well as Cedric Wilson did. And the Cowboys didn't want to pay him. He ended up signing a $6 million, I think, a year deal, and that was in 21, and never really played much for Miami. But you can figure that Jalen Tolbert, you're looking at paying more than that if he has a decent season this year. So it may be advantageous to try and move him and bring somebody in since you have so many guys that are there. Because Jonathan Mingo's been looking pretty good. Like we said, Trayshawn Holden has been definitely had a great game this past week. You've got Kayvon Turpin that you're putting into the mix. So you look at this and say there's just not enough balls to go around. And can we get something to help us on the roster? Now, keep in mind, we let Cedric Wilson just walk. And with Amari Cooper, we only traded Amari Cooper for a 5th-round draft pick. Cowboys are not great at making trades. They're just not. We gave up a 4th-round pick to get Jonathan Mingo. And I doubt that we get a 4th-round pick for Jalen Tolbert. Not unless we're trading to ourselves. Maybe we could trade him to ourselves and get a 4th-round pick. But probably we're talking about a very late-round pick. More likely, what you hope to do is maybe trade him for a player like a cornerback, because there is definitely a need after what we saw this last preseason game. Guys like Andrew Booth, did not look good. And I still would like to see Stephon Gilmore sign. Now, Stephon Gilmore is long in the tooth. I will give you that. He is not a spring chicken anymore. I will give you that. The Cowboys believe that he can't run anymore. I will give you that. But he's got to be better than Andrew Booth. And you're going to have to do something. Because right now, when we line up against the Eagles with or without Landon Dickerson, if they can't run the football somehow, surprisingly, that Mozzie all of a sudden turns it around, if we can stop the run, I'm not sure I believe that our secondary is going to be able to hold up. And the other part of this is with the whole Micah Parsons situation, without Micah Parsons being a full go, remember last year it was late when we signed CeeDee Lamb, they had to slowly ramp him up to be ready to really play. They couldn't go full go out the box. We're looking at a similar situation with Micah Parsons and his tight back of not being ready to go full go against the Eagles. You're not going to be able to get those coverage sacks with those guys. You're just not. And without Micah Parsons being able to put on the pressure and allowing the quarterback to have more time, that secondary is definitely going to be exposed. So we have the convergence of two things that we don't want to have happen. We don't really know who the nickel guy is going to be. We don't know if Diggs is going to be ready to play. And we don't know where we're going to be with Micah Parsons. And you're going against the defending Super Bowl champions that can run the football and has good wide receivers. Good luck with that. Yeah, so we'll see if anything comes about Jalen Tolbert being traded. I like Jalen Tolbert. I had so much hope for him. But you got to use what you have to try and get better. All right, peace out.